Welcome to the new season of the Dreams Portal, the podcast about dreams, dream interpretation, astral traveling, and lucid dreaming. Join your hosts, Ileana, Helen, and Abby, to talk about the meaning of your dreams. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dreams Portal podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Helen Salinas of Align Healing. Hi, Helen.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And the topic for this conversation will be time. And why time? Because time seems mundane, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it? Is it time an illusion? Is it time like that sci-fi character says, this wobbly, timey-wimey thing? Why is it that when we go to sleep and we have dreams that we experience a lifetime, and then we wake up and it was a dream that only lasted a couple of minutes? The mystery
Those are some of my favorites.
So where do we start here, Helen, with time? There's so many things. Why do we say, why the people like us in the woo-woo say that time is an illusion?
Well, our dreams prove it. I mean, how many times have you come home, thought, I'm going to take, just a quick little nap, and you feel 20 minutes might have passed. You feel like it's been 2 hours. You had this whole dream sequence. You were in there and it's such a detailed dream. You felt you were just living this lifetime, and you wake up and you're like, how the heck did that happen in less than 20 minutes? You know, and it blows your mind. It tells you, what is time? And I'm going to share a really interesting story with you. I know this is just the beginning, but I have to go into this.
Awesome.
My husband has previously had this habit of saying, there's not enough time. He was just living by the clock. I got to go to sleep in 4 hours and there's so much to do. I got to do this. There's so much to do. And he could think, there's not enough time. There's not enough time. And he created, and I tell him, I said, you created this lack of, that affected him in a very personal place. It affected him on his vacation hours and like his holiday pay. He came home and said, I was just told I'm back at zero. There's no time. And I said, well, you created that. What do you mean? What's that phrase that you're constantly using? There's not enough time. There's not enough time. Now here you're planning for your summer vacations and you've just been told what? There's not enough time. That was the brick wall he had to break through. At that moment, that was his aha moment where the light bulbs went off and everything. That was the last time I heard him use that phrase. There's not enough time. Fast forward a couple of weeks, he comes home and he hands me a piece of paper and he shows me all these sick hours, all these vacation hours have just poof, reappeared. And I was like, see, perception. Which timeline did you want to live on? The one where there's never enough time, or the one where you're allowed to live and enjoy the fruits of your labor because you have all the time you want at your hands. It's at your leisure. And it was really interesting to see that perspective. Once he flipped it, how he created what he wanted to see with time. Because, time is so, to me, I can really see it as so man-made. I was a nurse, by profession, and everything's by the minute. You have every minute, you had to have, all your assessments done in the first 30 minutes, and you had to start giving meds because you only had a 30-minute window to give, 6-7 patients, all these medications and everything. And living by the clock was an awful feeling. And once I was able to step back and just enjoy, I realized that I could actually be sitting on the couch enjoying myself. I look at the clock and it might say 10 minutes after 2. I would be on my phone scrolling through TikTok, whatever, and feel like I get lost in it. And I look back at the clock and it's still showing the same time. I was like, no way, the clock must, the battery must be dead. I look at the clock on my phone, still the same, 2:10. And I started realizing, it is a man-made perception because we had to be on a schedule for someone else, things had to be done by a certain time. How do you feel about it as far as the whole perception of
Well,
time?
uh, I can give you the physics definition of time, and time is defined on space. As you are in the 3D, you are in point A and you want to get to point B, and the difference is from point B, from point A to point B, is that what we call time, is what it
Mm-hmm.
took you to get there. So for us in our physicality, time became a thing because we want to get something or go someplace, or we position things in that sense. Yeah, there's a definition, but it was created.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some things also in the world of physics. When you get in electromagnetics, in quantum physics, there's no time, because I'm trying to not get very technical here, because that's the promise I have made to my audience, both here and in everyday crystal magic, is that I'm gonna clean this up of technical terms. So electricity, take electricity. Electricity is extra dimensional. You see the effects of what electromagnetic forces
Mm-hmm.
do or accomplish in the mechanical world, in the 3D, but everything, how it's designed and how it behaves and how you can put it to work, is in the frequency domain. All the calculations are made based on frequency, and that's how you build this wonderful thing. So
Mm-hmm.
so you want to get something tangible in a definition of something intangible, take electricity. That's the best example that I can take.
That's a good example.
In that sense, well, the time, we're not here in the time domain. We're in the frequency domain, and that's how it's so easy for me to understand that everything operates on certain frequencies, and colors are frequencies, sounds are frequencies. Everything is, once, like Nikola Tesla said, once you understand that frequency is what it is, uh, you understand how the universe works, and you start detaching from time. The other way I see time is the perception, and it goes very much like your the example with your husband, from the individual experience, like PTSD. I'm going to use PTSD to explain why time is an illusion or something that we make. People experiencing trauma for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason and has PTSD, they are living the same moment over and over and over. And doesn't matter for others in their measure of time, 5, 10, 20 years have gone. For the one in that individual experience, is a moment that has never gone away.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the illusion of time, even in a more concrete way to explain. Uh, in in that, even for the individual living the experience, they might have experienced aging, which is something also defined in terms of time, as opposed to functions in the body
Mm-hmm.
and in your awareness. But that person, that physicality of aging is not as important at that moment in time that keeps replaying. I'm
It's almost
gonna
like they
take
get
you
caught
to
on the
another.
track.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
or even
It's a
if
loop.
not
Yeah.
something. It's a loop. It's a loop. Even if not something like so traumatic, like the different things that can cause PTSD. Let's see people with limiting beliefs that you walk into their space, their private space, or see their preference, and the first thing that comes to your mind of, oh, I went to so and so's place, and it's like the room was freeze on the 70s or the 80s for some
Because
reason.
like a time capsule.
Like
Yes.
a time capsule. So that's an illusion. Again, it's a very personal definition of time. And the reason why we are dwelling in all these definitions for our audience is just think about those things that you say on a daily basis before you said that no, time is time and it's defined and you have a clock and you measure it. No, you use it to measure other things, but think about all the times that you go back in time, metaphorically speaking, but in frequency, you're going to a place that reminds you of something, that have a pleasant memory or a happy
A
memory.
smell or a song that can take you there.
So, and you said, oh, I went back in time. No, you attune to that frequency of that experience, that imprint, and you are there in the right here, right now. And I don't know if I just complicated things by saying this.
No, it's almost like, take time travel. Have you ever had a dream where you either travel forward or travel backwards, and you really have that sense, you have that cell memory almost, that you were there, and you're like, how, I love those instances where you can go forward and you will actually meet someone,
Yeah.
come back to this time and frequency, or the era that you're currently in, and then at that future date, it's like a deja vu. You're like, I know this person. I met them already.
Well,
So
what
many
is
things
it
like
that
that.
Doctor Who said in the times of Peter Capaldi? And I have to, you're not familiar with Doctor Who, but what happens is different actors have played the same character in, it's going to be this year, 60 years. So I have to, for our audience and for others, give a reference at least of the character, of the actor playing the character in the moment. And he said that premonitions are memories traveling the wrong way.
I like
Dr.
that.
Who. Premonitions are memories traveling the wrong way. And when we talk about, let's talk about discrimination and bias on time in dreams. I'm gonna take it from what you said when we had that dream that we go into the past. We call that time travel, and we go in the past because we like what is familiar. But when we go forward, oh, it was just a dream or nice to have or a wish. No, what Doctor Who said, no, that's a memory coming in the wrong way. So we discriminate because, and it's one of our layers, the ego likes familiar. We like familiar because it's comfortable and it's known. And the attachment to the past, using time again, is because that vibration, you're already, those who do that are already synchronized to that vibration. And it's better than trying to raise the vibration or start playing with that tuning and synchronize to something different. So that's why when there's the talk about time travel, everybody likes the travel in the past because it's familiar. And number two, because, oh, if I could go back in time, I would have changed this and this and this and that. I got news for all of you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna burst a bubble here. If you go back in time and you change this and this and that, and you come back to what you think is present time, you're going to continue doing that. You're going to be in that loop because everything is a domino effect. There's infinite possibilities. And whatever point you're at, there always will be something that you want to change. So my piece of advice really quick is start creating in this present moment.
Yes. You know, one of my daughters recently had an Akashic reading. And for those of y'all who aren't familiar with the Akash, it's basically like the hall of records for your soul. You know, it's like the soul where your soul records are kept, for your contracts, your agreements. So she has a reading, and with Kim, she's a manifester. She will think of something that she sets a goal, and she creates it with the circumstances that she wants. You know, whether she's buying something, it's going to be the right color, the right features, the right interest, everything's going to be this perfect little, you know, package. And she's done it repeatedly. Well, the reader was, you know, discussing that with her and tells her that one of the reasons she is able to manifest is because she's a time traveler, and that she goes forward, finds what she's seeking, comes back, and finds her way to it again. It's like you're creating that what you want to get in the future. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that scenario?
I don't want to use the term time traveler. I know that it's a term because people can relate, but what she's doing is she is an astral traveler. Is what Jamie
exactly.
what Jamie discussed, and in she introduced a lot of things in that
in that episode.
It was in season 1, episode 7, for those listening to this episode. And you go to the astral plane and you can go anywhere. So that's one of the things that I tell people in one-on-one conversations, like, oh yeah, we should all should incorporate astral traveling in our activities. But I made them I wouldn't say the warning, but I said the astral realm is where everything is what you like, don't like, what you want to see, or what you don't want to see ever. So by all means,
you're going to face a lot.
If you're an adventurer, go. But it's also a realm that can show you all potentialities. So in the case with this is your daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. She can navigate the field of potentialities, and the field of potentialities is eternal. It has no measure of time. So that's a great talent, a great ability.
Yes, just, you know, to know someone, you know, she's younger, but that's just such an interesting gift to take forward and to learn to master. It's so interesting. I mean, I can only think of one, well, maybe two. Those two of them that particularly stand out for me. One of them, back in the 70s, I remember having a very vivid dream that everybody around me was on rollerblades. And in our part,
it was in the 70s. It was a Saturday in the 70s.
It was in the 70s. You know, everybody was roller skating. You know, in my time, you know, on the 4-wheel roller skates. But in my dream, I'm looking around and I remember I sketched it out because I wanted to tell my mom. It's like, I had this really cool dream. I said, but they were like ice skates. The wheels were all in a line. And then, you know, seeing in the early 90s when rollerblades got really big, I was like, what? I was like, that was so cool. You know, things like that. I enjoyed those kind of dreams, you know, seeing then come into fruition. I always thought that was interesting.
Bits and pieces of what the future might be. Well, oh my God. I have one many years ago. It was before I got in the service. I had this dream, and I don't know if I was even thinking about joining the service, but I remember waking up And in this dream, I was in this place that it was dry, but it has mountains, high mountains. And the mountains
Mm-hmm.
looked dry. And it was like I could see like goats or animals like that.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what kind of place is this that we are high in the mountains, but has the feeling of desert? And I look around, I know that I'm high in the mountains, but I look around and there are mountains like this. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I was dressed in some kind of uniform. And a few years after that, I deployed to Afghanistan and I deployed to Bagram, which is that base in the highlands
Mm-hmm.
in top on the mountains. And it hit me again when one day I wanted to take some pictures because even when it was winter, that day was a sunny day and the skies were blue, but you could see the mountains. And I wanted to take a picture of those mountains, and boom, the image hit me. This is the place that I dream of. It's
Mm-hmm.
dry. There are high mountains. There are goats or that kind of animals.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that was one of those memories traveling the wrong way.
Yeah. And when it hits you, you're like, that spark, you're like, whoa, I
In the
love that.
yeah, and the reason that happens, and Jamie explained that in that episode, is when you start developing your gift, your different gift.
Mm-hmm.
I know that people like to get hung up on clairvoyance because
Yes.
again, it's one of the things of familiarity and the sense of sight. But there are many others. But
Exactly.
anyways, the point is that those are things that your guides start crafting and your soul at a higher level to show you the things that you can do
Mm-hmm.
once you decide to work on your talent and develop your abilities. It's just those uh trailers, those
Yeah, like the snippets of what's to
the
come.
snippets of what's to come if you work on this. And like everything, this is a matter of practice too. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are better than other in their natural talent, but you get better as you practice. So that was one. And I also remember this was I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, and it was on a dream again. And in that dream, Uh, I don't remember a lot of details because back then I wasn't even paying too much attention. But that one struck me because I had this dream about this lighthouse and traveling in one of those very nice high sail ships. Very
Oh, uh-huh.
pretty, but there was a storm and we needed to get to that lighthouse for some reason. So I woke up and I was like, I live in the Midwest. I'm not getting to a lighthouse anytime soon in the ocean. But that afternoon, I went to dinner with someone and we went to a restaurant that was in the chain of lakes, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly. And we went to that place. We got to some stairs to get to the main dining hall. When I look at the wall pane is the lighthouse and a ship, a ship trying to make it to the lighthouse.
Isn't
So
that so?
again,
Came
one
into
of those
fruition.
things. It
Yeah.
was it was a friendly reminder.
Mm-hmm.
I had it too with houses and the places where I'm gonna move next.
Yeah.
The
Mm-hmm.
last time it was right after I moved over there, and I had that dream like a year after. I was like, I just bought this house. I'm not going anywhere.
Uh-huh.
Well, I didn't spend 4 years. It was close to spend 4 years in that house, and I moved, and I missed the location by a couple of miles of the new one because I
Wow.
was thinking, I don't think it's that neighborhood. But guess what? This place where I'm at, I'm gonna say 3-4 miles of that
Wow.
neighborhood.
That's
So
pretty cool. Pretty on target
yes,
though.
pretty on target as well. I'm in the same county. We are almost, well, actually, this subdivision where I'm living at, that
Mhm.
uh that road on the south uh is the same that take me to that other neighborhood. So I'm talking 3-4 miles, but it's going on the same road. So
Mhm.
it's 3-4 miles west of here.
But
So
still, I mean, that's
those,
pretty good.
yeah, those are, and again, the timing, because going back to the 3D and the timing, and probably you see clients, you have exposure to
Mhm.
clients. I don't, but isn't it one of the biggest things that they want to know when they want a consultation of whatever? Let that be a dream, akashic, or card reading. They want to know when.
Yes.
What do you
And
tell them?
well, I've this is the interesting thing. When they're adamant that they have to know timing, I call on my guides to give me the clarity within the cards. I generally use Lenormand to read with, and I will, you know, focus my energy, shuffle, look at the cards, and I do use my clairs to get the timing from within the cards, within the reading. And I will give feedback like, wow, you were right, or hey, you were off by a week, but it did happen. It's like, there's so many of, I said, you gotta figure in, um, you know, your own, what is the word I'm looking for? Your will, that everybody has their own will. So, whether they decide to go left, right, or forward is going to, affect the chain of events. It's going to affect the whole energy of it. But usually we can get it into, I don't like to go in 2 hours, but if need be, we'll get it down to within 2 hours, something like that. But I
Wow,
always try to tell them, focus, don't focus on exactly when it's going to happen, but that it is going to happen. I said,
exactly.
call that event to you, call it to you, focus, and that you're on the track to get what you want to go on. I said, but also know that the other person, if you're doing a love reading, has free will,
Mhm.
and you don't, I don't, I try to discourage them controlling, being controlling of the whole thing. I said, allow them to have free will, have your focus, but I'll also allow them to have the free will that, that they need. But I do tell them it's all energy. Are you going to have that energy of fear and they're never going to call and create that scenario? Or are you going to have the energy of they're going to call? I'm going to keep doing what I got to do, but I know they're going to call. I said, it's on you. What are you calling forward? I
Yeah,
said, but
and
don't focus on the time. I told them that's just not where you want to put your energy.
no, that's and again, you're marking that on a calendar, and you're not doing the energy work. And we like to talk about it's not at the time; it's whenever you align with that energy,
Yes.
and you synchronize the matching, the impedance matching. I'm going again with
Mm-hmm.
an electromagnetic terms. When you synchronize with something, you don't synchronize in time. You
Mm-hmm.
synchronize the frequency. You can watch a radio station because you're matching the frequency of that radio station. In the
Uh-huh.
meantime, you want to listen to that really bad, but tune in, not try
Yes.
to mark it in the calendar that at 3 o'clock today, that
X
radio
is going to happen.
station is going to come in. No, it's just get into the frequency. And that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to say. And dreams is the same thing.
Yes.
When you dream and you go into what you call nightmares, it's not that you're having a nightmare, it's something is happening in your energy body that you're tuning in that part of the astral, or in that part of the akash, or in that kind of potentiality, because fear and the consequences of fear is the potential
Mm-hmm.
too.
True.
So
Like, take for example, when you are with your partner You're in a happy relationship, you're sound asleep, and you have that dream that they just cheated on you with someone else. Now there is nothing going on in your waking relationship that that person would cheat on you, but you wake up angry and you cheated on me last night. They were just asleep. They were right there in bed next to you. What's going on within your energy that brought that up, right?
Brought that up, yeah. And some people take that as a prophecy, and then
yes,
here are the missteps. They take it as a prophecy, and then what's the next thing? When is going to happen? When is going to happen? When is going to happen? Because I had that dream, and I'm sure that this is a warning. And guess what you're doing? You are aligning yourself with that event.
Yeah, to me, you're creating that timeline. You're creating
the timeline,
and you're making all these negative events because now you're got that energy that, oh my gosh, I'm going to be looking for something. You got that suspicious energy, and you're derailing. Energy. You're derailing from where you are to a totally different timeline, to one where it did happen. It did, there was cheating and you did break up. Where do you want to put your energy? You're going to put it on this timeline where you're both happy, and that, or you're going to spend it over there. It really is that where you want to be in vibration. I like to tell people, I said, I explain it like with death for me. When I can tell when someone is going to pass because the change in their energy. It's like when you take two batteries, again with electricity, and you try to put them together and it repels. That's how I feel the energy of death. It's like my energy and theirs are not in alignment anymore because they're passing. They have that change coming through. And, I said, you think of the body as this collection of molecules. We look like we're solid, skin and bones, but we are a collection of energy, and it's atoms. Atoms are positive and negative, neutrons and all that. I said, everything around you, it looks solid, but get down to the energetic level. It is all energy. So where do we want to put our energy with our timelines?
Absolutely.
We can do that.
We can do that. And again, if you can, is this what bothers me? I'm gonna go here on the rant because
that's okay.
People start like, that's a TV show, and that's fantasy, and it's like, why do you think we have the things that we enjoy in modern world? The smartphones, that box where you get the images and the entertainment, and the flying machines, because it was fantasy one day. It was in a field of potentiality that somebody either awake or in dream space saw that and decided that it will happen. It will happen. It will happen.
What
maybe
we're doing
not
right
in
now
their
was,
in their lifetime, but it ended up happening. So
who remembers watching the Jetsons and seeing the screens come down and video conferencing? And what are we doing now?
Yeah,
the exact thing that we saw in cartoons.
Yeah,
somebody jumped it. Somebody created it.
So stop calling it sci-fi, science fiction. Is because more than half the things that were depicted as fiction are no longer fiction. So the title is obsolete. And that's the obsolescence of time. So I want to introduce that too. It's obsolete. And that's what the time travelers in the shape of Doctor Who they're trying to say is you cannot do these things with something that is obsolete. And what times brings obsolescence. So frequency is what is in and is present. Frequency doesn't decay, it doesn't put things in a place. It's existing at the same time.
Yes.
In a manner of speaking, that's all the things that we see have different frequencies, and you perceive it in this moment. And it's what's happening in dreams. Sometimes you wake up and you said that you had dreams that you were jumping from one place to another, or from one time period to another. This is your experiences all of them at once, which is the next theory that many are proposing, both in science and spirituality, is everything happening at once, because that's frequency. Frequency, everything happens at once, but who receives what depends of the synchronization of that frequency. So
Yes.
in the dreams, because you don't have the resistance, you go there and you play. The dream time is playtime with what you can do. And you play with the dimensions, and you playing with the time period. Is that's your
Your guard is
thing.
down. Yeah, your guard is down. You're not, so reserved. And
Yeah.
I love to use the example.
Yeah.
Picture yourself in a big open room. Okay. You're looking forward. You see all these tennis balls, but you're not even paying attention to the thousand tennis balls all behind you,
You.
because you're only looking peripherally and forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole world going on behind you, and it exists. You're just not focused on it. But
Yep.
the minute you turn around and you see and embrace everything around you, everything's going on. You just didn't have your eye on it at the moment.
You
That's how I
don't have
see.
your eye.
Yeah, that's how I see, sleep and dreams. You finally, got your guard down, and everything, you're aware of everything, and you're just taking it all in, you
Yep.
know. But I do like to remind people, just remember, just because you're not looking at it doesn't mean it's not existing around you. It's all energy.
It's all energy. Well, it doesn't exist in your reality, in your awareness,
Mhm.
but mm, it
Make it a habit to look
exists.
at all. Mhm.
But the moment that you give your attention to it, it exists. It's the effect of the
Yeah.
observer. But again, and
Mhm.
we're not gonna get that's a very famous physics experiment. Look it up, Google it up. There's a lot of people in YouTube that
Mhm.
have very awesome videos explaining that in lay terms. But it's whatever you give your attention to exists,
Yes.
and it's not tied to time,
Mhm.
because time is our construct. And again, in this stage, in the 3D, the stage where things materialize, yeah, time is a necessity, is something created. But going back to the example of your happy memories or your PTSD, or for those people that keep saying, oh, this is the kind of person who's always living in the past. Again, that's a subjective measure or a subjective definition of what is time.
Mhm.
For that person, the better time was that, the what we call the past, or from
Mhm.
that person's reference is the past, for whatever reason, because it's familiar or because it was happier. But again, if you think that the past is better because you were happier, what keeps you from having or from building your happy memories in the right here, right now? Because you did it at
True.
some point in that so-called past.
Mhm. You're capable
Why?
of it.
Exactly, you're capable. So why can you not make it happen in this time
Bring
and
it forward. Yeah.
in this present moment? Because what it is the eternalized present. That's all we have.
Mhm.
So, uh, and it's a topic for many, a lot of controversy, because people, there will be people who have the necessity of time because it adds meaning to what they do, or it's just standard. They want to measure that. I used to have a friend that said that time is something to beat. And I was always thinking, how stupid. You're not going to
It's
beat
like, to
time.
me, I notice some people feel so like they have to control time. And we know we can't control time, but they just feel like they've got to stay on top of it. They got to be in control. And it's like, wouldn't you rather,
Control your
you,
energy.
yes, and enjoy the time rather than try to control it and beat it? I just,
Yeah.
I
I
choose the
don't know.
higher vibe.
I don't want to rant, but the purpose of this episode was to say, how we perceive time in our waking hours versus in dream space, especially because in dream space we have the illusion that lifetimes or
eternal.
years go in half an hour. And it's again because time is an illusion, it's that construct, and
it's man-made.
It's man-made, and you go there in your dream, and to me, you're more efficient. If you want to go with time, with the illusion of time, then you're more efficient in dream space because you get to see more and you accomplish more than in your waking hours that you cannot function until you have your coffee or your drink, whatever is it that you do in the morning that gets you through the day. You don't need that in dream space.
I was told that time was created by man to become a you were exchanging your energy for payment, and so they created time as a measure to figure out how much to pay you for the energy, things like that. It became an exchange, and pretty soon it became the
modern day slavery.
Yeah, really, modern day slavery. It just became that final thing that everybody decided this is what we're going to go by. And
well, there's or you can in some cases and in some other cases is you price a deliverable as something something, but when you're dealing with intangibles, which is a very interesting thing, you're dealing with intangibles like intelligence, and you want to pay intelligence in terms of time. I mean, we all went through that, but it's something to think about for those who still want to get into the trap of time and don't want to understand the time manipulation, and they don't want to understand how time is an illusion.
I would say try this. This is something I used to do when I worked nights. I didn't like working night shift. It's crazy because I don't
work in night shifts
well, I worked in a hospital, and Spirit was very busy. Spirit was very busy at night.
That's prime time. Prime time.
Especially in a hospital. Anyways, so I would tell myself, oh, I get off in 1 hour. No matter what time it was, oh, good. I'm off in an hour. And it would make the night fly by because I was creating that energy and telling myself, I only have 1 hour. So it made it lighter, easier, happier, because, my energy was up here because it was happy. I was going to get off in 1 hour. So I was able to keep that vibe all night long, 12-hour shift. But hey, I get off in 1 hour. Whenever I started thinking about it, oh, good, I get out in 1 hour. Try it. Try it on a regular 8 to 5 day, whatever your work schedule is. And just keep telling yourself, hey, I get off in 1 hour. You don't have to let anybody else know you're doing it. But see how you feel at the end of the day. When you do that.
As long as you don't watch the clock.
True. Oops.
Because you start watching the clock and then your perception of time changes. And there's another thing in dream space. When you are sleeping, you're not watching the clock. So you wake up, and that's why you feel that you didn't have enough sleep. And it might be true that your body's telling you that you didn't have enough sleep, but the reason why nights appear to go faster is because you don't have the awareness of the concept or the concept of time. So again, more to the point, that is an illusion.
It is.
So let's start reframing that. Yes, if you're still employed and if you still have to do things in a time frame, let's call it a time frame. But what we need to become aware of is that we want to tune into certain frequencies, and we want to have our filter designed for certain frequencies that are going to be for our advancement or our happiness. And other frequencies will filter them out. So frequency not time. Even in the dreams, because when you go to sleep, you set your intention or whatever. I mean, you don't have to set your intention to have a dream.
Exactly.
You can set your intention to have restful and restorative sleep. But if you are like some of us that you want to do some work, you set your intention to reach certain frequencies or to explore something and synchronize to that. Then the next question will be, well, how I do that? What is the dial, the instrument to synchronize? And we're
Ooh,
complicating this.
yes, that's like, wow, that's going to be a whole section on itself.
It doesn't, well, the way you tune in is through your emotions. That's it. That's how you match the frequency. You want to be happy, or happy in general, or happy in doing something. You start to practice the feeling of how happy you will feel just by the thought that you do that or you believe in that. That's how it is. And forget about time.
Yeah, when you're doing something and you're having fun, and people say,
Yes.
"Oh, the time just flew by." You know, same thing. You were in a higher vibration. You're having fun.
Yeah. And it's not
You
a
didn't
matter
think
of
about it.
time. It
Yeah,
was the
you just.
vibration. It was the vibration. It was time by the conventional invention is still the same. Is that
Yes.
you were hooked on that feeling, on that vibration. And dreams are about the vibration and intention and the realms that we want to visit and how we want to use dreams for our advancement to benefit our waking hours is what I want to say. I'm gonna stop with that because I feel that the more we get into this, we can
go on
complicate
so many
this.
tangents. Yes, we can go on so many
Go on
tangents.
so many tangents. But again, to recap, time is an illusion because you experience, even when you have a clock that apparently measures it, your day to day, the collection of your experiences that become who you are measured in terms of your memories and emotions, and that is a frequency.
Yes,
and everything you do, you perceive, you align, you like, dislike, is a matter of frequency. And dreams are no different. Especially dreams are more about frequency than anything. So let's start practicing the language of frequency and phase out time, except from when you absolutely have to use time as a framework. I have to be in this appointment at 2:30. Don't think about it until the things that you have to do to be there at 2:30, and that's it.
That's true. Keep the energy light and in high vibration. You know, and
Right.
you'll find that the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. It becomes second nature.
Second nature. And times just becomes just the collection of the present. And before we wrap up this episode, because Helen and I were talking about this again, and this is not a sci-fi. Let me give it to the people that are not into sci-fi. Let me give it in the construct of one of the greatest work of literature, in 100 Years of Solitude. Let me say how I say this for those who haven't read it, which is, to me, is not possible. How can someone not have read this? But the reason the patriarch went apparently crazy was not the torments of the mundane life of the town. It was because at some point he was lucid enough to realize that time stumbles and had accidents, and it cracks, it fractures, and sometimes it leaves a piece in a place and it makes it eternal.
Yeah.
That's why in that room of the house, it was always a Monday in the month of March. And with that, I want to thank Helen again for
Thank
being
you.
with me in this fun experiment of talking about dreams and other things in this second season. Thank you to all of you. Again, check out the episodes from last season and the books and the shows that we mentioned here. It's fun and it also helps you in rewiring. And that's going to be one of our next episodes. How can you use
Mhm.
all these things to rewire your brain? Thank you for listening to us. And until next time, sweet dreams.